Welcome to Homegrown Hustle. Marlee, thank you so much for joining us. Virtual consultant, top 3 of consultants in Pampered Chef. She's absolutely amazing. Her story's even better. Super excited to have you on. How's your day going so far?
It's wonderful. Thank you for inviting me to be on.
Yeah, I've really been looking forward to this. Danielle, who helps us produce all this, she actually brought your name up and she speaks so highly of you. Obviously, you two have had more time to get to know each other. So now I'm looking forward to kind of learn a little bit more about you and talk about all the success that you've had. So for those of you who are listening that don't know Marlee, could you just take a little bit of time, Marlee, and kind of tell everyone who you are, what you do?
Well, I am Marlee Kivens. I am in Minnesota. I am a virtual consultant for the Pampered Chef. I have been with Pampered Chef it'll be 9 years at the end of this month in January. I am a person with a physical disability called Spina Bifida, and I am one of the oldest living persons with this type of disability. And I started with Pampered Chef 9 years ago because I went to a friend's in-home party and I got to test the tools and found out how accessible they were. Before going to this party, I had a PCA that was helping me create all of my meals because I couldn't lift the box store cookware or bakeware or use the prep tools because of my hand issues due to my disability and my mobility issues. I found out how user-friendly Pampered Chef was. And within a month of going to that party, I was asked to join the Pampered Chef team, and I did. And then within a month of joining the Pampered Chef team, I let go of my PCA because I could sit at my island and I could prep all the food that I needed to prep. I could move products from my island to my oven, to my stovetop, to my refrigerator, anywhere that I needed to move the product. And I didn't have to worry about dropping anything on my feet because I can't feel from the waist down. I didn't have to worry about breaking glass and stepping on it and not knowing that I stepped on it. And I didn't have to worry about burning myself with a pot or with a hot pan because Pampered Chef has all of the oven mitts and prep tools that any person could use. I have gained my independence and I have sustained it for 9 years.
It's an amazing story. So I know Pampered Chef really well. My mom, she hosted some parties. We had all the Pampered Chef, but there might be some people that are listening that don't actually know what Pampered Chef is. Could you kind of give us a high-level overview of what the products are?
Sure. Pampered Chef was started 42 years ago by Doris Christopher. She started it in the basement of her home. She wanted to have the products that were user-friendly and easy to maintain and be there for her children who were of school age. She didn't want to go into the workforce. So she found some products at a Chicago trade show that she liked called stoneware, and she started with a pizza stone that could go in the oven, and you could put frozen pizza on it and doctor up a frozen pizza or make a homemade pizza. And the product shot up from there.
We definitely had a couple of those at my house. That's
yeah.
Hilarious. I didn't even make that connection.
And what's nice is the stoneware has been updated, so now it can go in the dishwasher and it can go under the broiler. So
it keeps getting better.
You're
going to sell me on this stuff before we're done here.
Yeah. They're always updating the product. They're always making it more accessible to the masses.
So it started there, and now I think before we got on the air, went live, that you said there's like 300 some products?
Yeah, there's about 300 products in the catalog. And I mean, it ranges anywhere from, $5 on up to, I think the most expensive is around $390.
Okay. So it's a line of items that are for the kitchen that help
Yeah,
people.
I mean, it's bakeware, it's cookware, it's prep tools, it's entertainment items, there are pantry items, there are barbecue items, anything and everything that you could think of for having a easier time and a more fun time in the kitchen.
So literally anybody could see value in one or a series of these products. They just got to hear about it. So
Right.
I'd love to talk about that because I love cooking myself. But before we get into all that, let's hear a little bit more about you and kind of like why'd you become a virtual consultant with Pampered Chef, and why have you been with Pampered Chef for 9 years? Like there's a transition at some point. So could you tell a little bit about kind of getting to that transition?
Sure. I mean, I grew up in a family business. My father owned a company in South Minneapolis. I started at his company at the age of 8, and I grew into his company being his right-hand person. I would run his company while he had his own medical issues. He had had 4 heart attacks within a few year period. My parents would go to Florida for the winter, so I would run his company while they were wintering in Florida. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. So once he was diagnosed, I mean, I was helping him correct all the errors he was making. In hindsight, we didn't realize that he had Alzheimer's disease. Found a lot of errors that he was doing. Once he got diagnosed, my mother made the decision to sell his company. And from there, I had worked various administrative assistant jobs. And in the around 2010, 2011, I started getting some health issues due to my spina bifida. And I had to pull it back and work part-time. And the corporate world didn't want me working part-time. So I ended up being my father's part-time caregiver until he passed away. He passed away 7 years ago, or it will be 7 years ago in February. And during that time, I also landed in the hospital due to some medical issues. And that's when I started having a PCA at my house. And because I had the PCA and because I wasn't really working, my parents had been in Florida that winter. A friend asked me to go to the party, and that's how I landed in Pampered Chef. So it's been a journey in the corporate world. Well, it's not corporate, it's family business world, administrative assistant world to Pampered Chef. So
Things were kind of going downhill with a series of negative things in your life for a while.
Yeah.
And then I think earlier you said his name was Don, right?
Yes, my friend Don.
Shout out to
Donald
Don.
asked me to go to a party where he was launching his Pampered Chef business, or relaunching his Pampered Chef business. He had been in Pampered Chef for a while and then decided to pursue other things and then come back to it. So he was having a launch party at his home, and I went and played with the tools and fell in love with how user-friendly the tools were because of my hand issues. Gripping prep tools and gripping other things are difficult for me. I have arthritis in my hands, and I've got mobility issues due to my spina bifida. So, I mean, with the box store things, I was dropping hot pans. I was dropping glassware. I was dropping a lot of things and stepping on them and not knowing that I was stepping on things. I mean, I've burnt my feet before. I've burnt my hands before, not known it.
Sounds like the kitchen was like a war zone.
It was. It was. And I mean, that's why
these products really changed your life and your day to day, because like people got to spend time in the kitchen. We have to consume some food, right? But if it's like that experience, I would be afraid to go in the kitchen, and would definitely need somebody to assist me with that. So not only did that Pampered Chef, what do you call it? Is it an event? The host events?
It was an in-home party. That's what they called it.
That party, you were there looking at how this impacted just you on a day-to-day thing, and now really it's so much bigger for you, and you're absolutely crushing it too, based on what you've told me.
I mean, I have earned tops 2 years ago during the pandemic. I earned an Excellence Award where only the top 3% of consultants or directors and above earn this prestigious award. And I've earned an incentive trip, which I went to Texas for the first time. And it was a 3-day, all expense paid trip from Pampered Chef. So,
wow, that's awesome incentives right there. So can you kind of walk me through the journey now of like, okay, you're there, you love the products themselves. Why did you go from just using the products yourself to actually selling them?
because I wanted other people with disabilities to know how easy it is to be in the kitchen and not be afraid. I also wanted to reach the elderly who don't usually make a lot of meals for themselves. There's a lot of product that are a one pot meal that you can make one pot meals with. The product is multi-generational, and I'm very impressed with that, and I still am very impressed with that. I mean, there are products from infant to senior citizen and anything in between. So whether you're sending your kid off to college, or there's a first apartment, or you have kids that you want to learn how to use cooking tools, there's everything available for that generation.
That got kind of deep there. I'm gonna pull it back a little, because that, like, I can go so many places with that, but I gotta stay focused here. So I've never really thought about those products in that way. So the sales process that they had for you in that first party, it was probably very different than what they built, and maybe not so different from what you run today. But I don't think in the description it says helps for handicap, does it?
People with disabilities. It doesn't, and that's why I want to reach the masses of people with disabilities. There's many people out there that have PCAs or have people that are helping them with meal prep, and because I have used the product, and because because I still use the product, I want to show people that have different kinds of disabilities that they can use the product, that they don't have to be scared about cutting themselves or dropping things, or they don't need to have a PCA if they don't want to have a PCA. If they want to gain some independence, they could use the product, and I can show them how. And being a virtual consultant is much easier than doing things in home, because I don't have to schlep the product to a person's home. And when I first started with Pampered Chef, I was doing in-home parties, but I found that the hosts didn't want to help me bring in the product or the ingredients to make the recipes. So I stopped doing it because it was too much of a strain on my body as being a person with a disability. I can do much more being a virtual consultant, and I can hop on Facebook live. I can hop on Zoom. I can help whoever has a question with the product, and I can show them really quickly how to use the product if they've got a question. Or I do a lot of Facebook live demos on my Pampered Chef Facebook page at least once a week, showing my friends and family how easy it is to use the product, and just different tips and tricks on how to use the product. So,
because I'm sure it's so much easier for somebody to understand what some of these products are when they can just like see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that virtual part, you're actually doing that before COVID kind of made everybody do it.
Yes.
You were doing these virtual consultations at the parties before it was cool.
Yes.
So tell me a little about that first time you did a virtual consultation.
The first time I did it, someone reached out to me via Facebook, because I am on Facebook a lot. I have a Facebook Pampered Chef page. They didn't know, they couldn't figure out how to use a product. And so I hopped on Facebook Live. They watched how to use the product. They put in questions on what questions they had about the product, and I would see the questions, and I would demo the product and show them how to use it or what to make with the product. Lots of different recipes are available on my website through.
So they already had the product, though,
Yeah,
right?
they already had the product. They just didn't. They kept it in the box because they were too scared to
They didn't
use
know what to
it,
do.
and they didn't know what to do with it. So
Did
that
you
is an
sell
issue
something on
with
that
lots of people.
first? Did you sell something on that first video consult?
People did watch, and yes, I answered the person's questions and then proceeded to be asked if there was a link to order the product.
I want to stop right there. So what you just said is so powerful. So now virtual is a thing, right? Everyone's been doing this. There's virtual sales. But if we rewind to you where you were doing this, again, before it was cool, your first time was not pre-set up, I'm going to sell somebody on this. Your first time was bringing value and educating somebody.
Yes.
And from that, like that right there is so powerful. And I think so many people miss that because they go straight for the sale or straight for buy this thing instead of why does anyone want to listen to us anyway? And you just created so much opportunity. And then did you see that right away and run with it?
I did. And that I am more about teaching people how to use the product or telling people why not to buy a product because,
Interesting.
Of my disability. If there is a product that doesn't work for me, I will let people know that it doesn't work for me and why. I am very upfront.
You just speak the truth.
Very abrupt. So
I love that. Authenticity. Yeah. It's a powerful sales too. But even if you're not like looking at yourself like a salesperson, people need information to purchase.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come in and they don't know Pampered Chef item from something at Target or something they can get up the road. So
right.
Education is so much of a part of sales, and it sounds like that first step in the virtual side of things for you maybe it happened unintentionally and then you just kept exploiting the opportunity.
Yeah, I ran with
awesome.
it. So, I'm more about teaching people the product than I am about getting the sale. I mean, yes, sales are great, and helping a host with a party is great. But if the product doesn't work for me, I don't want to push the product.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So in those first couple years, like what are some of the lessons you had to learn about selling virtually? Just to bring more value to anybody that's listening, like what are a few lessons you had to learn, maybe the hard way, about selling not in a face-to-face format?
Well, I mean, I had to learn technology. I had to learn Facebook because that was the main way I was getting interest from people at the time. I mean, now I use different products like Zoom, and there is a product that Pampered Chef created because they saw the writing on the wall that people needed a virtual way of seeing the product. They created a format called Table, which is a platform away from Facebook and away from all the algorithms and all the stuff involved with Facebook. So people can have parties that way, and I can.
So that one sounds like it's people that have already purchased products. They know of this platform Table, and then because of that,
necessarily.
Really?
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, there are people that host parties that don't know about Table or don't know about Pampered Chef, and it's because of people that they joined parties before, and they're helping that host out.
It's referrals.
Yeah, it's referrals. You're right. It's either referrals or it's people that have joined a Facebook or a different party before, and they want to earn product. But they've never bought the product before. They want to earn it themselves. So.
That's awesome. So have you ever done like YouTube Live or TikTok Live?
I started out with YouTube when I joined Pampered Chef. I found that I couldn't download the YouTube videos very well on Facebook or on other platforms. So I gotten away from that. But I use Facebook a lot. I use Zoom a lot. I use
Take it for
video
what it is, but
recording.
I think if you take another look at YouTube Live and TikTok Live, things have changed a lot, and the
Okay.
live component to those platforms, especially for what you're doing, the algorithm is kind of designed for stuff like that. So TikTok, you can create, I think it's like a store or something like that that they call it, and now it opens that up even more. I know we weren't planning on going there, but you were just talking about your business, and I thought that might be helpful. And we can talk about that a little bit more also.
Yeah, I mean, I am now just starting with Instagram as well to see if I can reach more people that way.
Honestly,
I'm dabbling in it.
I recommend people try all of them because there's a different audience, a different consumer, and a different mindset when they go to these platforms. I mean, who knows? Maybe LinkedIn is where it's at for you, but we never know until we actually try. And that's why we explore so many opportunities and really like that, like the experimenting and like beta test things to see what happens. Because if we don't try it, we actually don't know. And the great part of social media platforms is free. It's just an activity-based thing. So the more we do it, the more opportunities we can create. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, that's great. No, I will probably try YouTube again. I mean, it was so cumbersome 9 years ago that I gave up.
I remember using it early on. I tried so hard, and it was just harder. And because of that, the user went away for a minute. The attention went to Facebook. It went to these other platforms. But now that they've changed it, they've kept leveling up. Well, now YouTube's the biggest search platform or second largest search engine in the world. And the live component, which I've only learned about maybe a month or so ago, it's very new, and live streaming is very much becoming a thing. So,
well, thanks for the tip.
I mean, maybe just get a second phone, run the Facebook Live here and the YouTube Live over there, and then just couple it. But so back to your story. So you were doing virtual consulting and these parties before it was cool. I don't know if we ever got through the 3 things that you learned about hosting those or not. Sorry, I interrupt quite a bit sometimes.
Yeah, just technology, learning different technology, learning how to find an algorithm within Facebook, how much posting I do, how much or lack that I do.
Oh, okay. So is there like a system that you run?
Well, I mean, I try to post 3 times a day at different times, and that's it on Facebook.
That's way more than most people. You're at least posting. I love that.
Yeah.
And how many years have you been doing that for?
Well, I was on Facebook before I started Pampered Chef. So
and you were posting 3 times a day before?
On my personal page, I'd post once a day just to, see who was out there, say hello. I use Facebook Messenger a lot just to interact with people one-on-one. And that's also through my Pampered Chef page on Facebook. I found that I needed the one-on-one interaction so that I could reach out to people and let them know and be authentic, be my authentic self and not be salesy. In the beginning, I was very salesy and found that didn't work.
What do you mean when you say salesy?
Just let people know that there were what the host rewards of the month were, or let them know that there were things on sale. And I wouldn't say hi. I wouldn't find out how they were doing. I wouldn't interact with people. I would just send a message saying, this is what's happening with Pampered Chef. And that's not the way to do it. You need to, have a conversation with somebody.
Why do you think it's not the way to do it?
Because people are turned off by salesy things in people's faces. They get it all the time, whether they're watching TV or they're watching whatever they're watching or how they're watching things. It's in your face all the time. And I found out I didn't want to be that person that is just sales driven all the time. You need to build relationships. Learn, know, and trust. The person needs to be
Absolutely.
able to trust me that I know the product before they're going to say, okay, I want to have a party or I want to place an order.
Yeah, because if they don't trust us, why do they even want to listen to us? If they don't
Right,
listen to us, why do they buy anything? Like, how can they buy anything from us? They can't.
right.
So trust is so important, and way more than just business. So you kind of sound like a Facebook guru based on what you're saying. But like the scheduled posts, you're doing the lives, you hit the one-on-one. What are some tips you'd give to people about growing their business and engaging consumers on Facebook specifically?
Well, I mean, I try to do Facebook Lives at least once a week just to show product. I mean, people can hear about the product all they want. I also, if I'm at a vendor event, which I've done in the past, I haven't done it in the last year because of health issues. But I'd go to the farmers market in Golden Valley all summer long, and I hope to be back there this season. And I would post lives from there saying, I'm here, come see the product. Here's my favorite product that I'm showing this week. Or I would, just.
And you did that every week?
Mm-hmm. I take
So,
pictures as well.
so it's consistent to that. Okay. What else?
In my Facebook Pampered Chef page, I ask questions like it's National Keto Day today. And I asked on the Facebook page, are you doing a keto diet? Yes or no? And then if somebody is going to reply to that, I just did it before I hopped on this call. I'm going to ask people what their favorite keto recipe is, and if there is a Pampered Chef recipe in my arsenal, I'm going to post it so that they have a recipe.
Oh my God, I love that. So you get the conversation started, and then what you do that I think a lot of people fail because they start with that, but you keep it going and take it a little bit further, and then you bring value, and now people are interested.
Yep.
Right now it's more than maybe that one or two or three people that respond. Now there's more content in the comments that people can consume. Literally, that's kind of a pun.
I try to do that at least once a week, just to post a question on whatever national day that there is. Or a few weeks ago, I asked Brussels sprouts, yes or no, and people responded if they liked Brussels sprouts or not. And then I kept asking, what's your favorite Brussels sprout recipe? I've never tried Brussels sprouts myself, so I was curious with my Facebook group, which is over 400 people at this point. What do they like about Brussels sprouts? What's their favorite recipe? What can they get me to try? Because I'm not a vegetable person.
Well, it's such an amazing niche, right? And I don't know if you got there intentionally. It doesn't sound like it, but food. There's so many people that are self-proclaimed foodies. And then when you take it to this level where people aren't just foodie because they want to take a cool picture, they actually like the process of making food. Now you create so much opportunity for conversation and content creation that just comes so naturally and is actually useful to people.
Yep. And I post pictures of what I'm making.
I love it. I'm about to be a
Pampered
Chef rep. So what's your absolute must-have favorite Pampered Chef product?
There's a couple, right? The Deluxe stand mixer I use constantly. It is lighter weight than the well-known brand that's out there. The well-known brand would sit on a shelf. I had it for 5 years. It would sit on a shelf because I put it on a shelf and I could not carry it from place to place when I needed to use that particular brand. So the Deluxe stand mixer is very user-friendly. It is easy to move from place to place. It's got six different preset settings. You can just put it on and go. You don't have to babysit it. So that's great.
Stand mixer.
Then there is a Deluxe multi-cooker that is actually on sale this month. That is awesome. I call it a Instapot on steroids because it has 16 different settings.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so sorry, that was just a personal question. We can get back to bringing value to everybody else. So you've had a lot of success with Facebook and being a virtual consultant. So what's some advice you'd give to somebody who's maybe been doing it and hasn't been having the success that they'd like?
Because of all the health issues that have been going on for the last year, I've had 4 hospital stays due to different infections or due to infections going on. And I have learned not to procrastinate because I may not be here tomorrow. So do it today. Do whatever it is you need to do today because you might not have tomorrow. I mean,
So powerful.
yeah. I mean, back in April when I had my first hospital stay, I was septic 4 different times. And the staff asked me if I had a healthcare directive. I mean, that's how bad it got.
Puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just get off the couch, get off where you are, and just do it. Whatever it is you need to do to make your business grow or to succeed in your business. I mean, I'm a virtual consultant. Yes, I can sit on my couch and do anything virtual, but I mean, I have to prep for it. I have to have a plan of what I'm going to do that day. So just no matter how you're feeling or what stress you're going through that day, just do it because you're not promised.
You're very resilient. I mean, I don't even really know how we glazed over the handicap that you've had, but like, this is like a lifelong thing, right? It's not something that
I was born with this, and I'm one of the oldest people with this type of disability alive. There isn't enough.
I know a little bit about it, but I don't fully understand. Could you explain it to me just so I better understand?
Sure. When I was born, my back was open, and there were a lot of nerve endings and dried blood outside of my body. And doctors attached what could be attached and severed the rest. So I don't have a lot of feeling from the waist down. I don't know when I'm stepping on something that I shouldn't be stepping on because I can't feel it. I've got neurological issues as well. I mean, I'm a person with a learning disability or a learning difference, I think they now call it.
I like that better.
Yeah. I have hand issues. I've got a lot of mobility issues. I use a walker, and I'm trying to. I have physical therapy right now that I'm trying to get away from using the walker. I just have a lot of physical issues because of being born with the Spina Bifida, and there's a lot of research that's done for children, but there isn't a lot of research done for adults because we weren't living this long. And so I am the guinea pig for the adults. And
what's the expected lifespan?
There isn't. I mean, there isn't. If I would have been born if I would have been born in the 60s, I probably would have been put in an institution and left to die because there was no research being done. So
you were born a fighter. You've been forced into this life of having to be resilient. And it sounds like based on the story you told originally, your parents didn't take it easy on you. You were working at 8.
Well,
tell me about that.
Running the business, it was predestined that I was going to work for my father because my parents didn't think that the real world would accept me and want to hire me. So it was predestined that I was going to be working for my father, whether I wanted to or not. And it has been a struggle since, I mean, I was supposed to take over my father's business and I realized it wasn't for me. I mean, I was fine being his right-hand person, but I didn't want his business. His business was cemetery memorials and granite countertops and concrete bird baths and fountains and things. And it was great to be interactive with the public, but you were
passionate about it. You're passionate about supporting your father and his business.
I mean, it was a job, and it was a job that I was forced into, whether I wanted to be there or not. I mean, I was happy working with my father, day in and day out, but he also treated me as a daughter instead of an employee. So the lines kind of got...
It's a very tough dynamic. My father-in-law started my company, and I work with my brothers now. Like, I know what family can do in business, and I know how amazing it can be. And I've also seen some of the other side of it. But at the end of the day, being able to be around people that are in your family that you care about, like, that's so valuable to me personally. And it sounds like what you learned through a lot of that has created some of the groundwork or framework for the success you have today.
I have a great work ethic because of my father. He taught me a lot. I take what he has taught me and I have put it into Pampered Chef. So
he'd probably be very proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, he passed away 7 years ago of Alzheimer's. So it's been difficult not to be around him, but I know that he's looking down and he's very happy with what I have done.
Yeah, and so what you've done today, but the great part is you're not even done yet. So, like,
right,
what's the future for you look like?
Just keep
nothing's holding you
away.
Back. So, like, I'm just excited to hear what you're going to do next.
Just keep plugging away with Pampered Chef, growing my team, becoming a director at some point, earning as many incentives as I can with Pampered Chef. I mean, I love being part of Pampered Chef. I'm not going to leave it for anything. I found my passion, and I'm sticking with it. I mean, and I love going to the farmers market in the summer and interacting with people and showing them the product where they can touch and feel it. I love doing the Zoom events and the Facebook Live events where people can see the product and they can ask me questions. I'm a people person, so I love interacting that way.
Passion is so important in business, and I can feel it just when you're talking about the product. And so many people don't do that. They do things, and they're part of business, or they run businesses that their heart really isn't there, and because of that, they don't really put themselves into it, and they're not happy, which is more important. So I just love that you found that. It's changed your life, and now you're bringing that and trying to impact more people who just haven't heard about the product yet. And,
or if they have
doing
heard
it
about
virtually.
The product, they don't have a consultant that. I mean, I have in the last 9 years, I have run into consultants that just want to sell the product to anybody and everybody, and don't want to take the time to get to know the person, to find out what they really need or really want, or what their lifestyle is. I mean, I as I said before, I have gained my independence and I have sustained it for 9 years. I want to keep sustaining my independence by using this product. So,
when you kind of start a conversation, I'm interested as to like what you're thinking about if you don't actually know these. Like, are there like certain key points you're trying to learn about somebody, like how they cook? You said their lifestyle.
Yeah.
What are those other things?
If they are just looking to use the microwave, if they're just looking for storage items. I mean, everyone eats, but you need to enjoy what you're eating and why you're eating it. So I want to find out, what do they cook? Do they cook meat and potatoes? Do they use the microwave? Do they just make frozen meals? Do they use pantry items? I mean, what is it that you use on a regular basis for food or for your different items that you need to replace? And why do you need to replace them? Or why do you need to add to your arsenal? I mean, I can go out there and just sell a product, but I don't want to just sell the product. I want to get to.
What if they don't want to buy it or they don't need it? Now you're like,
I don't want to force an item on someone that doesn't need it. So
it doesn't feel good to anybody. People hate that feeling of like being in a sale is not really comfortable for the salesperson or the purchaser. So why the heck do we do it? Like how you handle it, you kind of have a conversation. Sounds like you just pay attention to what they say, and then think about them and the products that you have and how it supports them and what they actually care about, instead of having to change their mind and pull these tactics. Like nobody likes that, and you don't do it. And because you don't do it, that's what you said earlier. You had incredible success, incredible success, top 3% with that approach. And I think that's a very powerful thing that I hope somebody can take away from this is a sale doesn't have to be this big, orchestrated, complex, thought out process. You just have a conversation and you care.
Right.
And that's what works and is powerful. And is there any other advice you have for maybe trying to learn about somebody so that you can then present the information about a product to them?
Just be authentic. I mean, don't try and rush through a sale. I mean, really get to know that person. It takes time and it takes effort. I mean, if people just want to buy a spatula, that's fine. But if people want to buy, a high-priced item, find out why they want to buy that product. I mean, you are what your product is.
So now, again, you're bringing some fire today, Mark. So you just said you listen to your customer.
Yeah.
Better understand the reason they like it. And now, through learning that, you can maybe present that information to somebody else that also might see that. A lot of people don't ask that follow-up question. That's very important. I love this conversation.
This is in the follow-up. You have to follow up in order to, and what I also like to do is once somebody receives their product, I want to make sure they're taking it out of the box or out of the package and they're actually using it. I mean, it's one thing to buy it. It's another thing to actually use it.
Yeah. Because if they don't use it, now they're thinking about it like, freaking Pampered Chef. Why did I buy that? So that process of taking it out is another step that helps you ensure you're doing right by them. And whatever reason they purchase it for, they're actually able to accomplish that. And they're not just stuck, because that's not a good feeling either. You've thought about this a lot and all the different stages of the sales process, the purchasing process, all the way to the opening and then use. Does Pampered Chef give that to you? I'm intrigued as to how much of that is part of their process and how much of it is just you.
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, I've taken a lot of training through Pampered Chef. I have a great director and a great executive director that has helped me along the way.
You're so humble.
Yeah. I mean, I go to my director if I am stuck on what to say when I'm having a conversation online with someone. She will give me the wording to say so that I actually sound like I know what I'm doing, even though, I do know what I'm doing, but it's those moments where you don't feel well or you're not in the right mindset where you have to go to somebody else and say, all right, how do I respond to this type of question? So that I don't come off that I'm not feeling well. So
you utilize your resources.
Yes,
and it sounds like
my resources.
Pampered Chef has
we're a team. I mean, I am part of a team that is for the common goal of getting Pampered Chef into people's homes for whatever reason. I lean on my team a lot just to. And also to learn from them so that if I am doing something that isn't working for me and it's working for them, tweak it so that it could work for me. So
even after all the success you've had, you're still looking for those little teeny tiny bits to get better.
Definitely.
I love that.
I mean, I have to strive to be better. I mean, I don't want to be stagnant in what I'm doing. I need to learn and grow and figure out if the path that I'm on isn't working, and I don't want to stay stagnant in that path. What can I do to better my outreach or better myself so that I can be the best that I can be with all of the challenges that I have going on? Yeah,
because you have your own set of challenges, and then you have all the challenges that come with running a Pampered Chef business.
Right.
So it's like these layers of it. You kind of ignore those other ones as best you can and just put it into Pampered Chef.
Right.
How much, so you spoke about your team a little bit. How important is having a team and support system like that to the success that you've had?
Extremely. I mean, my director holds meetings once a week, in an evening a week. I go to those meetings and we brainstorm on different things. Or, I mean, I'm always picking up nuggets of information that I didn't know. I mean, I've only been in it 9 years. My director has been in it 26. My executive director has been in it over 26 years. I mean, the company is only 42 years old. So, Pampered Chef is changing with the times, and I'm changing with the times. So as long as they're changing and updating what they're doing, I need to do the same.
I love it. Constant learning. I know we've spent a lot of time here already. I want to be respectful of your time. One question before I let you tell everybody how to get in contact with you. Could you tell me what the word hustle means to you in terms of business?
I don't like the word hustle.
Tell me why.
Because
I think there is a negative connotation with it, so I really want to hear your perspective on that.
My business is not a hustle. I'm not a hustle. You need to take time and grow your business. This is not a side hustle for me. This is not a side business for me. This is my business. This is my small business. I'm not trying to hustle people out of money just to buy something. I'm not trying to hustle people and do I don't know what it's called, but a flip on
switch.
Someone. That's just not me.
So it has this negative connotation for you.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I have a sports background, and hustle for me is always like that extra gear, that little bit more, not being satisfied. So if it wasn't the word hustle and you had to pick another word that would kind of fill that idea that I just described, what would that word be?
Strength. You're strengthening.
I love that.
Strengthening my business, strengthening who I am as a person, strengthening my relationships inside and out of Pampered Chef.
So I've asked this question to every other person that we've had on here. I love your response the most out of all of them. And you're the only person that didn't actually give me a definition. So I love that perspective. I'm so grateful for your time here today. Could you tell me a little bit and tell everyone else what's the best way to get in touch with you if they want to watch some of these videos? Like, how do they get in contact with you, Marlee?
They can send me a friend request on Facebook. Marlee Kivens is my name, Kivens, and Marlee. They can, and once they send me a friend request, I will add them to my private Pampered Chef page. It's not a public one. They can either call me or text me at 612-701-4805. Anyone that reaches out to me that has listened to this podcast and they want to place an order, I will add a gift to their order.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say to people that are listening here today?
Just go after your dreams. I didn't realize that this was going to be a dream of mine, but once I gained my independence, I went running with this dream to put Pampered Chef into everybody's home. If I can use the product, anybody can use the product. So you're
such an amazing story. You're very inspirational to me, very perseverant, and adversity doesn't seem to be something that's held you back. And I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to hear all the cool things you do in 2024. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Marlee. I really hope you have a great rest of your day.
You're quite welcome, and this was fun. Thank you.